natural DC.
Oh, okay. Oh, it's going live for us. Okay, let's see. I want to make sure that we're live. Yes, I think. Let's see. Oh, great. Okay, we're live now. Welcome, everybody. I'm going to turn down the volume here. Welcome to everybody. Welcome to any of you who are watching on the recording, the replay of this. My name is Amy Miller. I'm the founder and wellness advocate for 3 Life Essentials. We advocate wellness in all areas of our lives, from our spiritual health, our healthcare, and our lifestyle. And our team is on a mission to help others with their health. And my husband, Jim, and I are passionate about helping others feel better naturally. My background as a speech language pathologist, and as well as our own family's impact with today's topic, has really kind of prepared me to share this with you today. And we have people call me a research queen, and I love seeking out and learning new information, new things. And people know that they trust that when they come to us, they know that they're getting some sound advice that's been researched and well thought out. And so I want you to come alongside me today as we seek to better our health in 2019. This is Free Friday. This is our weekly series on Fridays to live life of freedom, to experience life more fully and more abundantly and naturally. And today we have a very special guest with us. Today we're going to be free from snoring, free from disrupted sleep, free from teeth grinding, and we're going to be free to be kind of a little blown away by the information that Dr. Liao is going to share today, free to be in the know, free to free your teeth and your heart and your brain from turning bluer, and just free to rock your health in 2019. Now, today, I am so honored to have Dr. Felix Liao joining me. Dr. Liao is a holistic dentist in the Falls Church, Virginia area. And he's also the past president of the International Academy of Biological Dentistry and Medicine. Now, in addition, Dr. Liao is also the best-selling author of 2, I would say, groundbreaking books, 6 Foot Tiger, 3 Foot Cage, and also Early Sirens. And these are both about taking charge of your health, taking charge of your mouth, and also some clues about this downward slide towards sleep apnea. And he trains dentists to become airway-centered mouth doctors. And it's his mission to bring holistic mouth as a natural solution to as many patients as possible through his training for dentists and also other healthcare professionals to become holistic mouth consultants. So we're going to just briefly talk about just a little bit of our background on this topic and how I got connected with Dr. Liao, and talk about today the mouth's role in our overall health. And Dr. Liao is going to share some example cases also in his practice, and a little bit about how doTERRA plays a role in his life. And if you have questions as we're going through today, I want you to put them in the comments below. We'll try to get to some questions if we have time today. But we're also going to end with what we can do about this information, right? What we can do moving forward with all of this. So now, before we get started, I have a gift for those of you who are joining just at the beginning. Dr. Liao has so generously given us access to a handout that he calls, Is Your Mouth Choking Your Health? And so if you would like access to this PDF, I want you to just put in the comments below with free PDF, and I'll make sure that you get access to that information. And if you're watching this video and you have some friends that you know could benefit from this information, I want you to click the share button right now, because that you want them to experience this information as well. So now, just a little bit of background. We've been sharing over the last few weeks about this topic. Those of you who joined us a few weeks ago when I interviewed Dr. Teresa Scott, which is our family's holistic dentist, we started talking about this topic. And then we also carried on last week about myofunctional therapy and Buteyko breathing and some of my experience with that. And I got connected with Dr. Liao when we were interviewing Dr. Teresa Scott, and she said, did you know that Dr. Liao, he's a doTERRA person? I said, no, I had no idea. And she said, let's connect. And so, so I've had the privilege of talking back and forth with Dr. Liao over the last month. And so I'm so honored to have him on today. And so Dr. Liao, let's talk a little bit about this kind of our mouth's role in our overall health, because I'm learning now that our mouth does a whole lot more than just the obvious for the eating and the speaking, right? Our body plays a much bigger role. So tell me a little bit more about that.
Yes, it's an honor and a pleasure to join you, Amy. I'm so excited, just like you are, and I'm happy to share this information with all your followers. Imagine a newborn baby. You know, those of you who are moms, you know that when a baby is born, it could hardly hold up its head, right? So you gave the Fanny a spank, it gives out a big yelp and a cry, and then you feed it, and then it goes quiet and then goes to sleep. This is how humans grow. When we're born, nothing works except the heart, the lung, and the mouth. Mm. The baby cannot even hold up its head, right? So with this repeated cycle, less the spanking, the baby grows and gradually gains strength enough to set up, bring food, and explore the world through its hands to its mouth, right? And then it gradually could crawl and stand up and waddle and eventually walk. So it's the mouth that feeds the whole, and we develop, more importantly, from the top down. We develop from the mouth down toward our feet, and then eventually you can stand up, which makes us unique as the only two-legged animal on this planet. All right, so that defines us, but humans can walk around age 1, but our occlusal plane, that part of the mouth, does not finish developing where the teeth fit together. It's called the occlusal plane, upper and lower teeth, where they come together. That plane does not finish forming until around age 12, when the 12-year molars come through. So during birth and that time, lots of things can go wrong. And so the development of the mouth is subject to Murphy's Law, like you wouldn't believe. Mm-hmm. So the mouth could become structurally impaired to do all its job descriptions, which is a whole lot more than eating, drinking, talking, and smiling. And so I saw in my patients what happens when they have perfectly clean checkups, and yet they still have medical symptoms. I see them with perfectly good medical checkups, and yet they have dental symptoms. So I started wondering, geez, what's wrong? What's missing here? And as a dentist, I'd always been interested in teeth grinding. So long story short, the missing piece was the airway, which I explained in the 6-Foot Tiger, 3-Foot Cage book, my first book. And the 3-foot cage refers to the impaired mouth structure, the jaws that are underdeveloped from birth to roughly 12, 16 years old. And if your doctor and your dentist don't know this connection to your airway and your sleep, now you're behind the 8 ball the rest of your life.
Yeah, and that's what I'm seeing when I read your book. It kind of took the knowledge that I had as a speech language pathologist to a whole nother level and opened up a whole new world for me. And so I know that the dentists and the doctors that you have been talking to are, do you find that they're being blown away by some of these connections too?
Yes. And it's so great that you come from the speech language pathologist background. You can appreciate this. Dentists are trained by dental schools to become tooth doctors. They are further limited by dental insurance to do only procedures on teeth and gums and get paid for that. So naturally they're reinforced to be like Pavlov's dogs, right? You press the lever, you get fed, you keep pressing the lever. And societal patient expectations. Okay, I got tooth problem, I go to a dentist, that only makes sense. But what happens when you snore, when you grind your teeth, when you have neck and shoulder and headaches? Now what do? What if you have one dental trouble after another? What do you do in that case? Do you keep going to the same dentist who keep providing you with the same solutions that leads to another problem and another problem? Mm-hmm. So how do you get out of that vicious cycle? All right. And people who grind their teeth and have clicking jaw joints, they have other medical symptoms: brain fog, depression, anxiety, fatigue, unexplained hostility. Like, leave me alone, will you? Yeah. We'll be on the receiving end of that.
So all of this can stem from when this kind of home office for your tongue is too small.
Yes, when your airway is occupied unwittingly by the tongue because of that 3-foot cage. Your oxygen is cut off to your brain, your heart, and now you have the struggle for survival.
Wow. So, and you call this, you kind of term this an impaired mouth syndrome, yes?
Yes, yes. That's the collection of medical, dental, and mental symptoms that stems from this home office, like you well described, that is too small for the tongue to live and function. And there are serious financial consequences to this, because one, the insurance doesn't cover it, and two, doctors don't have it on their radar screens.
So, so this kind of airway-centered focus, which is kind of different, new for dentists, right? How are you helping these dentists gain awareness of this, or how can people like a consumer like me understand more about this?
Okay, so I have so many patients who ask me the same question, say, where have you been? Why didn't dental school teach this? And you kind of have to understand the history of dentistry to know that, you know, at one point, if you had a dentist within 500 miles, you're lucky to have someone to put out the fire and relieve of your toothache, mostly by taking it out. We have evolved to the point where yoga is a mainstream thing, and Pilates and well-being is something we have the luxury to embrace. So we have gone past the putting out the fire stage. Now we're into the proactive personal care. What can I do to advocate for my own well-being? So if you're looking at that and wanting to age well, then you have to be able to sleep well, wake up feeling refreshed. And the prerequisites for that would be a wide open, unobstructed airway. In addition to a healthy lifestyle, in addition to, you know, having a purpose in your life and to feel passionate about, you need to have the energy. The most important difference between wellness and illness is your energy level.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right? Sustainable energy level. I don't mean the sugar high and crash. All right. Yes. I don't mean the speeding that comes from snorting cocaine. I mean the sustainable energy that you can renew day after day, decade after day. Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Well, so
the label. So in answer to your question, we need a different label, a category of doctors among dentists. So that's why I call it airway center mouth doctors. Okay. So 2 doctors work on drill and fill carpentry. Airway center mouth doctor works on everything that includes the teeth but goes well beyond the teeth. So what's the mouth contribution to whatever symptoms you might be putting up with day after day, and hoping that it will get better?
Yes.
Either by doing yoga or taking supplements or essential oils or whatever. You have to get to the source of the problem, or else it's just fingers in the dike Band-Aid.
Yes.
So we want to find the best solution that is renewable and sustainable. So,
I love that.
So airway, airway, airway before anything else. I have a very simple mantra. Ask your dentist if he knows anything about A, B, C before D. That stands for airway, alignment, breathing, circulation before dentistry.
Wow. So
alignment of your head, jaws, and neck.
Okay.
Breathing, obviously, sleep, unobstructed airway in the throat and in the nose. If you get stuffy nose, forget it. It's your dentist's business if he's an airway center mouth doctor. Okay.
Yes.
C stands for cervical spine. People who have forward neck and the head tilt backwards, those people are doing CPR on themselves while they're standing up. If you lay those people down 90 degrees, they're in perfect posture to receive mouth-to-mouth resuscitation. So these problems must be addressed before you work on teeth in any extensive way. Obviously, if you need your teeth clean, you gotta get a cavity filled, by all means. But if you're gonna do implant work, you're gonna do orthodontics, if you're gonna do full mouth reconstruction or cosmetic dentistry, by all means, find out about alignment, breathing, circulation before dental work.
Yes.
That's what ABC before D means. So as a consumer, as a patient who is looking to buy some major dental treatment or services, you want to make sure that your doctor knows about ABC before D.
Yes. So I will talk about a little bit more about that in just a minute, Dr. Liao, because I know people are going to want to find out how they can either help their dentists become a little bit more knowledgeable about these things, or how they can get connected with you as well. So we'll talk about that. But so I know snoring, fatigue, bruxism or teeth grinding, crowded teeth, the large tongue with the small mouth, apnea episodes, all of those things are all what we're talking about related. Yes.
Yes, they're all part of what I call impaired mouth syndrome.
So
along with the mental symptoms that goes with it.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
That really determines your quality of life.
Mm-hmm. And we've seen that in just our interactions with Dr. Scott's newfound knowledge with your information, and how she's sharing those books along with other books as well. And we talked about that a few weeks back, and how that has even impacted our own family's life. And so you talk also in the Early Sirens book, you talk about this kind of imagery of footprints at the crime scene, and kind of some more about that. Can you share with me a little bit more about some of that from that book?
Yes. I'm really happy to be a dentist. I think this problem of sleep apnea solution can only happen when dentists who become airway centered and oriented participate in the solution. So I'm really proud that prevention is built into dentist professional DNA. So we are proactive in terms of preventive dentistry. Now I'm trying to apply that preventive mindset to sleep apnea. So sleep apnea is the result of a long downhill slide. You don't get sleep apnea until you've piled up a serious oxygen debt. Mm. Okay, now some children are born with obstructive sleep apnea fairly early on, but by far, most of the people can remember, whatever your age is, you can look back to your teenage years and you can say, geez, I look back and I feel like $1 million that I can get away without you know, sleeping. And the next day, I hardly miss a step. And when I was in college, I can party all night and go to class the next morning and get away with it. At one point, we were all like Wonder Woman and Superman and Peter Pan, and we can live forever, feel like. Okay. Mm-hmm. And at some point, we ran up an oxygen debt. And then as you get past this side of 39, then you start feeling like, geez, you know, I'm not half the man or woman I used to be. Right?
Yes.
So,
yes.
So for most people, sleep apnea is a long, slow downhill decline. And by the time you have a medical diagnosis called obstructive sleep apnea, you have run up an oxygen debt. And so the preventive mindset built into my dentist training is, well, what's uphill? What are the clues uphill that we can recognize and arrest and reverse before the patient end up with this CPAP mask slap on their face as the only answer for dealing with sleep apnea? So that it is with that preventive, proactive mindset that we're looking at how could sleep apnea be prevented, and therefore how could someone age well by sleeping well every night? Because during sleep, our body is actually very active underneath a surface that looks like very calm and peaceful and placid. Underneath, the maintenance crew is busy.
Yes.
Right?
Right.
Busy cleaning up the day's debris. Okay,
yeah.
Busy renewing. But if your tongue is occupying your throat, it would be no different than somebody slapped a pillow over your face. And we've all seen in movies what happens. You start flailing. You start fighting for your life because you can go for days without drinks and water, certainly overnight, but you can't go 3 minutes without oxygen, right? So oxygen is a prerequisite for a good night's sleep, which is the basis of your renewal. So if you go through the night fighting for survival, then you're not getting rested. And during the day, now you have to compensate some way. Caffeine, dark chocolate, grapes, carbs, donuts, whatever, to get through the day. And then you get to that night and the body says, what? You want to go to sleep and have me face death again?
Wow. So it's a vicious cycle.
It's a vicious cycle. It's a downhill spiral toward that eventual diagnosis called obstructive sleep apnea. And along the way, the heart pays a price and the brain pays a price. The heart gets high blood pressure because the heart has to pump harder to deliver less oxygen. And the brain's not getting enough oxygen, so you get brain fog, you get forgetful, you get moody, you get depressed, you get tired.
So it's all so connected. I'm going to check here and see what we've got, if we've got any questions. Hey, Jerry, Denise, Kristen, Kimberly, Bethany, Peggy, Pam, great to see all of you on here. Please feel free to ask any questions that you have for Dr. Liao while we're on here. And I want to hear from you, Dr. Liao. Do you have some example cases that you have to share, kind of what's happened in your practice with regards to all of this?
Sure, I'm happy to. And so I have to tell you that as a airway center mouth doctor, I go to work every day looking forward to work, because every day I have patients who come back to me and say, wow, this thing really works. My neck and shoulder pain's gone away. I forget to reach for my aspirin or Advil in the afternoon. Sorry, chiropractor, I don't need to go see you as often now. My yoga teacher comes by and shakes my hand and say, hey, that's the best pose you've ever done. Congratulations. So one of my favorite examples is that mom who's been trying to conceive for a long time without success, finally became a mom 2 months after she started oral appliance therapy.
Wow.
So I typically, so those of you who are listening here, the way I get to know my new patients is through this, I had to have them ask this question, 3 wishes to the fairy godmother. What are the 3 symptoms you're putting up with every day that you would love for the fairy godmother to wave away? So when I put this question to that young lady and whose husband was with her, she started crying. Wow. And he reached out and held her hand and just quietly supported her. And so after she stopped sobbing, she said, we've been trying to conceive for a long time without success. And I held her hand, shook hands with her, and her hand felt cold. And I said, how's your sleep? She said, it's terrible. So I said, well, why don't we support your sleep? She said, well, we're here because we went to the emergency room the weekend before. I had this fever in my head. And the neurologist that we saw says these 2 root canal treated teeth should be taken out. And so that's why we're here. So I took one look at her. I said, if we were to put 2 and 2 together, connect these dots, I would say that you need a more friendly maternal internal environment to support new life. So I said, increase your seafood, seaweed, and marine vegetables like dulse. These are vegetable flakes. And let's put you on oral appliance therapy so that we can begin to open up your airway by redeveloping the 3-foot cage. So she said, let's do it. And 2 months later, she emailed me from Asia and said, hey, I'm a new mom. I just found out I'm pregnant.
Wow.
She's got a 3-year-old daughter now.
Wow.
And this has happened more than once. Yes. And so we've gotten to the point where, you know, the improvement in neck and shoulder pain and back pain even, we take for granted now. Mm-hmm. The lifting of the brain fog, you know, so it's not news in my office anymore. But yes. What I really get a joy, every time I see a patient who comes in, I've developed this eyes where I could have one look and I say, you're feeling better, aren't you?
Yes.
We all know, right? We humans are hardwired. We're hardwired to recognize the face, right? If a face, somebody had a bad night's sleep, or someone who just got them crying or heard some disastrous news, one look and we know whether their face reflects a stormy heart inside or they're feeling sunny. Yes. And so I call this facial radiance. This facial radiance can only come from good night's sleep. Yeah. So
it's so restorative. We can get great sleep. I mean, that's just so restorative to us. So I agree. Sorry, I interrupted you there. Go ahead and finish what you were saying.
Okay. And also a lot of patients, low back pain gets affected by the mouth. I don't say that what I do fix all the low back pains out there, but there is a significant oral contribution to low back pain because our jaw is connected to this temporal bone that is that's right underneath the ears. So the temporal bone and the pelvis bowl, they mirror each other. So if the temporal bones are misaligned, the pelvis is misaligned. So a misaligned pelvis could create low back pain, sciatica, birthing challenges, and the baby could come out with twisted skulls. And their palate will end up one side wider than the other if it goes uncorrected. And this becomes a source of pain in many adults because it goes undiagnosed as a result of what we call cranial distortion.
Wow.
So this gets a little deeper, but it happens in significant number of cases where the chronic pain cannot be resolved by going to see chiropractors or neurologists or doing yoga and Pilates, because these are built-in structural issues that came from birth trauma that was not recognized and not resolved. But the good news is it's treatable.
Well, that's what I was going to say. Now it's worth looking into, especially if people have been trying to address back pain issues or things like that and not getting resolved. This is another avenue that may be a real solution for a lot of people. And if you're just joining us and wondering why is this all even connected in the first place, you're definitely going to want to go back to a few weeks back when we interviewed Dr. Teresa Scott and talked about some of the books that Dr. Felix Liao has written, as well as Pottinger's Cats, and kind of the whole premise behind why some of this is why Dr. Liao and Dr. Scott are seeing these things more and more, evidence of this more and more, and really, would you say epidemic levels that you see?
Yes.
In practice?
One of my favorite questions to ask when I have a group of dentists in front of me interested in airway diagnosis and redevelopment is to ask this question: what percentage of your patients grind your teeth? The answers ranges from 60 to 90%.
Wow.
This is a huge problem that all the dentists recognize, but they don't have a good solution for that. And there's a very good reason. And the reason is that teeth grinding is one frame in a movie. The movie is not called dentistry. The movie is called airway obstruction during sleep. So teeth grinding is a compensation by the body in the face of a 6-foot tiger inside a 3-foot cage. So when the patient is grinding his or her teeth during sleep, the body is trying to stretch that 3-foot cage by doing CPR on itself. All right. So you get a little oxygen, but you damage your teeth and pay the price that way.
Yes, and we've seen evidence in our own family with that, and so I'm so thankful that we are on the path to getting things corrected, and that we have this newfound knowledge, and we can have a potential avenue of moving forward towards. We have hope now about that, and so I'm so thankful to you for writing that book, and for Dr. Scott for being open to just taking on a new paradigm shift in her whole practice. Well, I'm curious, Dr. Liao, before we go, I'm curious, so how does doTERRA kind of play a role in all of this for you? I know you've been doing some research with essential oils and things like that. So tell me a little bit more about that.
Okay. So there are patients who suffer from jaw pains, neck and shoulder pains, headaches every day. These are not problems serious enough to go to the urgent care or, even call the medical doctors about, but you sure would like to get that relief. This cramp in your shoulder, this pain in the neck, how do you get relief? Oral appliance therapy is the way we redevelop the jaw. So basically it's an adult expander. It's usually a very painless, uneventful process. You just wear that to sleep, during sleep, and the jaw just develops pretty magically. It's through a process called epigenetic orthopedics, all right? That means that using this orthopedic appliance during sleep, when growth hormone is released, through the stimulation of this expander appliance for adults, the jaws can regrow as if you were a teenager again. Now, during the day, you don't wear this. During the day, you're subject to stress. During the day, you're subject to deadlines, bottom line pressures. How do you get the kids home in time? How do you get them to school in time? Put dinner on the table and get everybody to bed at a reasonable hour, right? I mean, this is just a lot of demand on the body, all right? So we all have short-term stress to get over, and how do you support your body to get through those stressful periods, even as you're trying to redevelop your jaws, to widen your airway, get a better night's sleep? So during the corrective therapy, patients can use some support. And what I found is that essentially essential oils are drops of sunshine energy that come to us through plants in the form of a bottle, okay? And I find the doTERRA brand is certified pure and therapeutic grade, and I've tried it on myself through firsthand experience that is therapeutically effective. And so I'm looking into how to use essential oils to support dental patients, whether they go through oral appliance therapy or not, particularly those people who do not. For any reason or whatever reason that stops them from doing, they're saving up the money, they're not ready to face, the need to have to wear the mouthpiece for 12 to 16 hours a day. What do you do to support the patient in a healthy, natural way, as a low cost and effective way as possible? And it's been really exciting. It's a great learning journey. And I like it because it's all natural and there are no side effects, which is what we holistic dentists stand for.
Yes, I love that. Well, I know you told me that you're very interested in kind of continuing this research also with essential oils and how they can play a role with dealing with snoring, with sleep apnea, with teeth grinding issues, and all those kinds of things. So I look forward to hearing more from you about your findings with that and how that's impacting other people's lives. And so I'm curious, Dr. Liao, can we share, before we go, can I share the information about the seminar that you're doing in Dallas that's coming up?
Yes, sure, yeah.
Okay, so Dr. Liao does have a free one-day seminar that's coming up in the Dallas area. I know we have a lot of people that check with us in Texas, and so it's an airway diagnosis and DNA appliance overview, and that's
I want to make sure that it's for dentists, so you can recommend your dentist to get in touch with me and for information about how to attend that. It is free. It is an overview of what's possible. But for your patient audience, patient consumers, we have a webinar on applying essential oils in your everyday life by putting it in your medicine cabinet.
Yes, and that's coming up as well. And so if you want more information about that, just put that in the comments below and we can get that information to you. If you're like me and maybe you've had a bomb dropped on your way of thinking about all of these things, and maybe this has connected some dots for you and for your family, I want to challenge you to not only just think about doing something, but actually do something about this. You can connect your family dentist with Dr. Liao's seminar. I also, if you're just now joining us, you can go back to the beginning and see how you can get that free PDF that he has to share with you that also has ways that you can connect with him. Thank you so much, Dr. Liao, for taking the time to share with our viewers and people and also our doTERRA customers about these things. Do you have any last words that you want to share to leave everybody with, or anything else that you feel like would be of value to them?
First, I want to thank you for all that you do, Amy. Never doubt, this is one of my favorite quotes, never doubt that a few caring citizens can change the world. indeed, these are the only ones who ever have changed the world. So
Yes.
carry on. I would strongly recommend your followers to just, keep researching, keep following Amy's directions because she is a trailblazer. And I'm happy to support you and your followers in any way I can. And I want to thank Dr. Teresa Scott. I think she is a really fine example of what a dentist can do to change the lives of her patients by adding the airway diagnosis and redevelopment into their service mix that the patients may not be aware of. In other words, dentistry is no longer drill and fill. Dentistry is about overall health and well-being through airway and sleep now.
I love that. Thank you so much, Dr. Liao.
Thank you.
Yes, yes, we're so thankful. If you guys are watching and you are so thankful for Dr. Liao taking the time, I want you to share that in the comments below. Next week, we're actually going to be talking about the one change that I've made since discovering my 23andMe results from the DNA testing. So we're going to be free from being determined by your DNA, and free from free radicals and free to take action. But I'm so thankful for Dr. Felix Liao for joining us and taking his time to join us. And thank you guys also for joining us. And thank you so much. And we'll see you guys next week.